So usually when we talk about like getting a medical diagnosis, there's this underlying expectation of precision, right? Like it's engineering or something.
Yeah, you expect it to be a very cut and dry process.
Exactly. Like you break your arm, they take an X-ray, and there's that jagged white line on the screen. The doctor just points to it and says, there it is. It's visible, it's binary. And honestly, there's a weird kind of comfort in that clarity.
Oh, for sure. But that comfort disappears pretty quickly when you step into the world of complex human biology because suddenly that traditional X-ray machine is, well, it's kind of useless.
Right.
You're no longer looking at a clean break. You're looking at this diagnostic landscape that is incredibly murky. It's subjective, it's messy, and historically, I mean, it's been severely limited by just the physical constraints of the human eye.
And what is genuinely fascinating about this specific source we're looking at today, this specialized AI News Daily Digest from April 11th, 2026, is that it shows us exactly how AI is building a completely new kind of lens to see through that murk.
It really is a totally new way of seeing.
Yeah, and we're going to map out 4 specific updates from this digest for today's deep dive. We're touching on healthcare, mental health, finance, and public privacy. And, they might seem like totally disconnected headlines at first.
Right, they feel like they belong in different magazines.
Exactly. But when you synthesize them for the listener, they reveal this massive underlying shift. We are watching AI rapidly become the ultimate flawless processor of human data, scaling all the way from the deeply personal and microscopic out to the wildly public and macroscopic. So, okay, let's unpack this.
What's fascinating here is that these stories demonstrate AI pushing boundaries across multiple sectors simultaneously, right? It's forcing this tension between unprecedented technological innovation and the need for deep structural introspection. Like, we really have to balance how we deploy these tools.
Because whether you're a massive tech enthusiast or you're just, trying to keep up with the news, this deep dive is going to map out exactly how code is intersecting with your daily reality.
Yeah, it's not abstract anymore. It's your actual life.
So let's start with the most intimate human data possible, which is the microscopic geography of our physical bodies. The first update in the digest highlights a major breakthrough from an international team of scientists regarding cancer diagnostics.
A huge breakthrough, honestly.
Right. They've demonstrated that AI algorithms are now fundamentally outperforming human doctors in diagnosing certain types of cancer. Specifically, when it comes to analyzing mammograms to detect the absolute earliest signs of breast cancer.
And to really appreciate the magnitude of that leap, we have to look at the mechanics of what a mammogram actually is. It is essentially this incredibly complex landscape of overlapping tissue densities.
So it's not just a simple picture.
Not at all. When a human radiologist is looking for an anomaly, say, like a microscopic cluster of calcifications, they're dealing with cognitive fatigue, optical illusions, and just the simple biological limits of human vision. I mean, they are looking at a flat image and trying to infer depth and pathology.
So it's kind of like upgrading from a standard magnifying glass directly to a high-powered electron microscope, right?
Right.
Like, instead of just looking at the mammogram like a photograph, the AI is reading it more like a multi-dimensional topographical map.
Exactly, a topographical map. It's mapping it against millions of historical fault lines. The AI relies on these deep convolutional neural networks that don't just, see the image. They break down the scan into millions of individual pixels.
Wow, millions of pixels.
Yeah, and it analyzes the mathematical relationship between them. It's comparing the elevation and density of every single pixel against a vast historical database of known cancer developments.
It's wild.
It recognizes geometric patterns and incredibly subtle tissue variations that are mathematically imperceptible to a human, no matter how rested or how experienced that doctor might be.
Okay, but I have to push back on the implication here. So what does this all mean for the doctors? Does unparalleled clinical accuracy mean the end of the traditional diagnostician, or is the human touch patient's value actually irreplaceable?
Well, I'd challenge the premise that a diagnosis is just a localized data point. Yes, the AI provides the raw, cold accuracy, right? It flags the anomaly flawlessly. But a diagnosis happens to a whole person living a complex life.
Right, there's the human being on the receiving end of that map.
Precisely. The future the source points toward isn't human obsolescence, it's deep integration. The human doctor has to synthesize the AI's perfect diagnostic data with the patient's emotional, financial, and physical reality.
Because clinical utility isn't just about identifying the disease. I mean, it's about navigating the reality of the treatment, right?
Exactly the point. Empathy in medicine is not just a bedside manner nicety, it is a vital clinical tool. It dictates how a patient absorbs life-altering news or, how resilient they're willing to be during a punishing chemotherapy regimen.
And how they cope with the uncertainty of it all.
Yes. The challenge highlighted in the digest is calibrating that integration. The doctor transitions from being the primary image reader to being a highly informed strategist and guide. They use the AI as an infallible second set of eyes while providing the localized human context that the machine is entirely blind to.
Okay, so if an AI can map the microscopic geography of our cells, it begs the question, can it map the invisible geography of our minds? And that transitions us perfectly into the second update in the digest.
Right, moving from the biological to the psychological.
Exactly. The source outlines new AI platforms being deployed specifically to triage individuals battling anxiety and depression.
And we should clarify these are not your standard branching logic chatbots. They aren't just giving canned responses.
Right. They're utilizing advanced natural language processing to hold dynamic therapeutic conversations. They offer coping strategies in real time. And the crucial element, the source notes, is that they are programmed to alert human healthcare professionals if they detect the user is in a state of clinical crisis. But here's where it gets really interesting, at least to me. Can an algorithm really provide meaningful empathy, or is this just a highly advanced if-then flowchart for human emotion? I mean, if I'm talking to an NLP bot at 3 in the morning, how does the math actually differentiate between me just having a terrible day and me being in an active crisis that requires intervention?
That is the key question. And the differentiation lies in the multidimensional vector space the AI is building around your text. It's not just looking for obvious keywords like harm or hopeless.
So it's looking deeper than just vocabulary.
Much deeper. It analyzes your syntax structure. It measures the cadence of your inputs, like literally how long you pause between keystrokes. It maps the density of absolute language, like your use of words such as never or always.
Oh, wow. I wouldn't have even thought of that.
Yeah, and it compares your current linguistic pattern against baseline models of depressive spirals or panic states. If the mathematical weight of those combined vectors crosses a specific threshold, it triggers the escalation protocol to a human professional.
So we've built an AI to perform cold, hard calculations, but its ultimate use case here is functioning as the world's most scalable empathy simulator. And there's an incredible paradox to that.
How do you mean?
Well, the biggest barrier to mental health treatment for so many people is the sheer vulnerability required to sit across from a human being and admit that your mind feels broken. Talking to a machine might actually reduce that stigma precisely because the machine has no capacity to judge you. It has no opinion.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that lack of judgment is a feature, not a bug, for early intervention. But we have to be careful not to conflate simulation with genuine connection. The machine does not feel empathy.
Right, it's just math.
Yes, it is mathematically optimizing a response based on its training data to de-escalate your nervous system. The value here in the digest emphasizes this heavily is scale and accessibility, because global mental health care systems are fundamentally broken.
Yeah, waitlists are months long.
Months long, and marginalized populations often have zero access to clinical care. So this AI acts as a massive, sweeping triage net.
Functioning entirely in the gap.
Exactly. It can handle 10 million conversations simultaneously at 3 in the morning, providing a scientifically backed grounding exercise for a panic attack, while algorithmically catching the fraction of users who are in severe danger and might otherwise suffer in total isolation. But again, it's a bridge to human care, not a replacement for it.
Okay, so take that vector mapping of one person's anxiety in the middle of the night and apply it to 100 million people simultaneously in broad daylight. That brings us to the third piece of the digest. We are moving from personal psychology to mass psychology and right on to the trading floors.
This is where things get incredibly fast-paced.
Oh, for sure. We're looking at AI analyzing social media sentiment to predict market trends and execute split-second financial trades. It's like having a million hyper-caffeinated traders reading every single social media post in the world simultaneously to decide whether to buy or sell.
That's a pretty accurate analogy, actually. To really grasp the impact of this, we need to break down the mechanics of sentiment analysis at a macroscopic scale. Imagine the AI taking the exact same NLP tools it used to detect an individual's depressive syntax, but applying it to the entire internet fire hose.
Just drinking from the fire hose of public opinion.
Right. It is ingesting millions of tweets, forum posts, news headlines, and financial blogs every single second.
But how does it actually quantify that? I mean, a feeling isn't a stock price.
Well, it assigns a mathematical weight to the language. Let's say a CEO gives a press conference. The AI isn't just transcribing the words, it's scoring the adjectives used by the public reacting to it. So the word disappointed might trigger a minus zero point 0.5 score. Bankrupt or fraud might trigger a minus 5.0. It aggregates millions of these microscores in milliseconds to create a real-time greed versus fear index for specific equities.
So it's not trading based on what the company is actually worth, like its revenue or its product pipeline or its leadership.
Yeah.
It's executing trades based on how the internet feels about the company at that exact millisecond.
Yes, exactly.
But let's look at the mechanics of the trading floor here. If AI is just making split-second trades based on human sentiment, and other AIs are reacting to those trades, aren't we just creating a massive, unpredictable feedback loop?
This raises an important question, and you are identifying the exact structural risk the digest warns about, which is severe AI-driven volatility. The traditional stock market was, at least in theory, anchored to corporate fundamentals. We are now decoupling the market from reality and anchoring it to algorithmic reactions.
Okay, walk me through the anatomy of how that feedback loop actually breaks a market. Like, how does a flash crash happen?
So let's say a sentiment tracking AI detects a sudden localized spike in negative language about a major tech company on a social media platform. Based on that weighted NLP score, it instantly dumps 1 million shares.
Right, it just reacts to the fear index.
Exactly. Now, a completely different AI at another firm, an algorithm that doesn't read social media at all but only looks for sudden volume spikes, sees that massive sell-off. It interprets that volume as a signal that someone knows something bad, so it automatically sells its shares too.
Oh, wow. And then the third algorithm sees the first two.
Down the line, within 50 milliseconds, you have a cascading flash crash. Billions of dollars in market capitalization wiped out. And the trigger wasn't a bad earnings report or a factory burning down. It was an algorithmic misinterpretation of, say, a sarcastic meme that briefly trended online.
That is terrifying.
It is. The speed and volume of these high-frequency trades are entirely beyond human comprehension or control once the cascade begins. It represents a totally new paradigm of systemic financial risk.
It's genuinely dizzying when you pull back and look at the progression here. We've mapped the physical cells in the clinic, we've mapped the individual mind on our phones, and we've mapped the collective emotional hive mind in the financial markets.
The scale just keeps expanding.
It does. And the final story in the digest takes all of this massive data processing capability and drops it right into our physical reality. We are talking about real-time AI public surveillance.
Right, the transition from tracking the digital footprint to tracking the physical footprint. The report notes a massive surge in governments and corporations deploying AI to monitor public spaces. And naturally, there's growing alarm from privacy advocates demanding robust regulations.
And we really have to separate this from the old ideas of surveillance. Like a traditional CCTV camera on a street corner was passive. It recorded video to a hard drive, and if a crime happened, a human being scrubbed through hours of tape after the fact to find the event.
It was retroactive.
Exactly. What we're looking at now is an active, connected neural network instantly analyzing the live feed. It's like the physical manifestation of that financial sentiment tracker. Instead of sweeping the internet for our moods, it's sweeping the sidewalks for our bodily presence.
It's the application of biometric and biomechanical mapping in real time. It uses facial recognition to cross-reference individuals against massive databases in milliseconds. But even if a face is obscured, it utilizes kinematic modeling.
Wait, what is kinematic modeling?
Gait analysis. It plots the unique biomechanical points of how your joints move when you walk, which is often as distinct as a fingerprint. It can identify you in a crowd from 2 blocks away from behind in the rain.
And it's not just identifying people, right? It's identifying behavior.
Yes, it establishes a statistical baseline of a physical space. It maps the average walking speed, the typical clustering of groups, the normal flow of foot traffic. Once it has that baseline, it constantly scans for mathematical anomalies.
Like someone running or dropping something.
Exactly. Someone leaving a bag unattended and walking away quickly creates a vector deviation. A crowd suddenly running in multiple directions breaks the baseline pattern, instantly triggering a localized alert.
But I look at the proposed solutions in the digest, and I have to ask, is it even possible to strike a perfect balance between security and privacy once this technology is deployed globally? Or is robust regulation moving too slow to catch up with AI's advancement?
That really is the defining policy tension of the next decade.
Hmm.
If we look impartially at the landscape the report outlines, both sides of the debate hold undeniable, valid imperatives.
Right.
From a security standpoint, the capability of an AI system to instantly detect the shape of a weapon in a crowded transit hub, or to scan 10,000 live camera feeds to locate a missing child based on the color of their jacket, that is a profound public safety mechanism. It stops tragedies before they happen.
But the cost of that safety mechanism is the complete erosion of anonymity in public.
And that is the core argument of the privacy advocates. They argue that moving through your city without being continuously tracked, cataloged, and mathematically analyzed by a corporate or state database is a fundamental human right. The chilling effect this technology could have on freedom of assembly or basic civil liberties is massive.
So where does the source suggest we go from here?
The digest ultimately stresses that the path forward relies entirely on transparency. It's not necessarily about ripping the cameras off the walls, but demanding that society knows exactly what data is being extracted, how long that biometric signature is stored, and what algorithms are scoring our physical behavior.
So let's take a step back and look at the incredible arc we just traced through this single daily digest. We started in a doctor's office looking at convolutional neural networks mapping the topographical tissue of a mammogram to catch cancer before human eyes ever could.
Then we move to the privacy of our phones.
Right, where NLP algorithms are parsing the cadence of our keystrokes to serve as an accessible triage net for clinical depression. Then we zoomed out to the global economy, watching high-frequency algorithms trigger massive market cascades based purely on the mathematical weighting of our internet panic.
And finally, walking down the street.
Yeah, navigating public spaces where our very gait is being statistically measured against the baseline of the crowd.
Which is why understanding the underlying mechanics of these systems is so vital for you as the listener. AI is no longer an abstract academic exercise. It is actively reading the data you produce just by existing.
It's everywhere.
It is fundamentally reshaping the parameters of your healthcare, the stability of your financial systems, and the boundaries of your personal privacy. The question is no longer what the machine is capable of processing, but how society adapts to a world where everything is processed.
Which brings us to a final thought to leave you with today, something to really mull over. We started this deep dive talking about the X-ray machine, how we crave that clean, jagged white line of a broken bone, and how AI is essentially a new, infinitely more powerful lens that we are pointing at the murky reality of human existence.
It's illuminating every layer of our data.
But here's the undeniable truth about observation. Being watched inherently changes how you behave.
That's very true.
If AI is rapidly becoming the ultimate flawless evaluator of human data, our diseases, our linguistic moods, our financial sentiment, and our physical movements, at what point do we subconsciously start changing our own behavior just to be better understood by the algorithm?
Like, do we alter the vocabulary we use when we're sad so the app categorizes us correctly?
Exactly. Or do we change our posture or how we walk down the street so the public camera doesn't flag our biomechanics as an anomaly? If the machine expects a clean, measurable line, how long until we start bending ourselves to provide it?
That is a lot to think about.
It really is. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us. We'll be back next time to uncover the next layer. Keep questioning the lines.